What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. So the international break is just starting, so we have 2 weeks without any Premier League or FPL action. Let me know in the comments firstly how you got on in Game Week 11, whether you were happy with that Liverpool result. Did you have Trent, did you have Cancelo, those big defenders scoring points this week? Let me know how you got on in the comments down below. But if you are new to the channel, you will not know that I'm activating my wildcard now over the international break. So what we're going to do in this video is have a quick look at how my squad is currently lining up. So my wildcard is active. I've started making some drafts, started making some transfers to catch some price rises. So I'm going to talk you through where I think my squad will be come the end of the international break for Game Week 12, the draft that I'm working with at the moment, as well as a few players that are currently missing out on my draft at the moment. So let's dive straight in to my current wildcard draft. In goal, we've gone with Ramsdale and Foster. Now, Foster seems a no-brainer for me if you're playing your wildcard this week. 4.1 million for a goalkeeper. Now, Watford have dreadful fixtures, but it's better than the rest of those cheap keepers. Having saved a penalty in Game Week 11, I expect his price to rise at least once over the international break, up to 4.2 million. And to combine with him, I've gone with Ramsdale. Now, Arsenal look really good defensively. They kept another clean sheet in Game Week 11 against Watford. Ramsdale got a bonus point despite making just one save in that match. So 4.7 million for him. I think he'll rise in price again before the deadline. We'll get into later a couple of the other goalkeepers that I'm considering. But given how good Arsenal have been for a couple of years defensively, given their underlying stats, I have gone with Ramsdale, even though their upcoming fixtures are maybe not quite as favourable as I'd want them to be. First up in the defence, we've got Cancelo. Now, he's 6.2 million in my team, but he would be 6.4 million for you if you are owning him or buying him new ahead of Game Week 12. He is in there. He got 2 assists in Game Week 11 plus a clean sheet. He was great in the Champions League as well. He is, of course, for me, the best Manchester City option to be owning, the best defender in the game alongside the likes of Trent and Reece James. There was no chance I wasn't going to have Cancelo on my wildcard. They have a great run of fixtures over Christmas period. So Cancelo is in there. 6.2 for me, 6.4 million for you all. Next up, we've gone with Chilwell. Now, Reece James has also looked really good. At the moment, Chilwell is in here. 6 million. I do think the Chelsea run of fixtures are getting more difficult, but he has attacking threat, he has good bonus point potential, and he has nailed down that left-back spot. On top of that, Reece James is getting a couple of one-pointers if he doesn't start. He does come on as a sub, whereas Chilwell does tend to start and then either not come on as a substitute or just play the full 90 minutes. Elsewhere in the defence, of course, Trent is in there. A goal and an assist just now in the West Ham Liverpool game. 7.6 million. He is a great defender to own. There are a lot of incredible defenders to own in the game at the moment. These three are definitely top of the pile for me. Chilwell, Cancelo and Trent. It's a very big at the back structure at the moment, but given the points we've scored in recent weeks, I think there's a lot of value still to be had in these guys. And next up, at the moment, we actually do add Reece James on top of Chilwell. Now, I could go, and we'll talk about this later on, for another premium option in defence. But James looked great. He got another assist in Game Week 11. 5.8 million for him as well. He is getting occasional one-pointers as he comes on as a substitute, but the points he's scoring with goals, assists when he is in the starting 11 is just crazy. So James is in there, 5.8 million as my fourth big at the back defender. And finally, in defence, how could I have a wildcard draft that doesn't include Livramento of Southampton? 4.5 million, probably rising up to 4.6 million as well, if not 4.7, come the Game Week 12 deadline of 2 weeks of the international break. Southampton have looked great. They now continue to have a really nice run of fixtures. Livramento is also good for attacking returns and bonus points as well, so he completes what is quite an expensive defence. But as I said, the points we've seen so far this season, the defence is such a good place to be investing. So moving on now into the midfield, the first one we've got is Jota. Now this is one that's maybe a bit of a question mark at the moment, but given the injury news that we have for Roberto Firmino, it does feel like Jota will be starting up front for Liverpool for the next sort of 4 or 5 game weeks or so. If we get confirmation that that's going to be the case, Jota will be in my wildcard team. 7.5 million playing up front for Liverpool. The issue with Jota previously is that he's not nailed and he will be rotated with Firmino, but if he's going to play every week, he has to be in my wildcard team. Next up, of course, we have Salah. Not much to talk about with Salah. Of course, he was going to be in here. They have a nice run of fixtures. He continues to be the best captaincy option for us almost every single game week. 12.7 million is a lot for him, but there was no chance I wasn't going to the Christmas run with Salah in my team. And next up is Son. Now, Tottenham looked poor and Son particularly didn't put in a good performance in Game Week 11. However, given their fixtures coming now from Game Week 12 to sort of Game Week 15 and then Game Week 12 to sort of Game Week 25 as well, the sort of longer period of fixture run that they have, I still think it's worth me taking a bit of a gamble on Son. He is playing on the wing alongside Kane and Lucas Moura at the moment, but he's the most tested player that I think I'm going to go with. There is a chance that Lucas Moura gets dropped. Kane hasn't looked that great, and I don't want to be spending that money up front. So Son is the one I've gone with at the moment. Now, there is a bit of doubt in my mind, given I did expect them to bounce back very well in Game Week 11, and there wasn't really that performance. 10.3 million for Son, if they're not performing well, is a lot to spend, but I think I'm going to be taking the gamble on him. Next up in this draft, we have Smith Rowe of Arsenal. Now, 5.7 million for him, but he continues to score goals. You will have seen, if you follow me over on Twitter, that Smith Rowe and Livramento rotate perfectly between now and about Game Week 23. So I'll be playing one of them every week, depending on who has the best fixture. But Arsenal and then Smith Rowe performing really well, while I've got Ramsdale, Smith Rowe. He scored again in Game Week 11, so very happy that he is in there in my midfield as well. And finally, in the midfield, again, a very expensive midfield we've got here, and we'll talk about the structure of my team in just a moment. We've got Foden, 8.3 million for the Man City midfielder who's playing in a false nine type of role. Now, he hasn't returned in the past 2 game weeks. He did hit the post against Manchester United, and at 8.3 million, with the fixtures they've got coming up, I do expect him to start returning a few more points for us. I don't see there being much competition for that centre-forward role. There is a chance that the likes of Gundogan plays there, De Bruyne, but with Ferran Torres out injured, I do think it's Foden's place to lose. And with that run, as I said, 8.3 million for the Manchester City centre forward, I do think it's worth going for him. Now, it's very expensive, so as I said, Smith Rowe and Livramento will be sort of rotating each and every week, but it means I'll probably be playing a sort of 5-4-1 or a 4-5-1 depending on the week. With that in mind, the first striker option, I've got to have someone who's going to sit on my bench every week. And the first one we've got is Keenan Davies from Aston Villa. Now, he can get the occasional 1-pointer as he came on as a substitute in Game Week 11. He'll sit last on my bench. Not much to report, but he is the cheapest sort of starting or even bench option striker that we've got here. Next up, we've got Hwang Hee-chan, who is 5.8 million. The other options we could go with are Josh King, or if I could free up a little bit more money and go up to 6.5 million, the likes of Armstrong, that's also an option. Now, I did want to go Broha of Southampton, but it doesn't look like he's necessarily in the first choice Southampton team at the moment, so Hwang Hee-chan is in here for the time being, but he's definitely a player that I would happily change if I needed to. And the final one we've gone with at the moment is Antonio. Now, his fixtures are not that great. He does play Manchester City in a couple of weeks when I could play Hwang when he does play Norwich. The forward options at the moment are just all so dreadful. We'll get onto a few others that I'm considering, but basically none of them are scoring consistent points. So because I've got so much value tied up in Antonio, he's just staying in my team at the moment. I would like Calvert-Lewin when he's back from injury, but he's injured until probably the end of November. So Antonio completes the lineup with Hwang, but I'll only really be starting one striker in this team. In terms of the options that I am considering that I don't quite have room for at the moment, in goal, Gaeta, Sanchez, McCarthy, all good keepers, all with a decent enough run of fixtures to come, all getting good sort of save points and clean sheets. At the moment, I just think Ramsdale has the best long-term sort of point scoring ability for me. The only issue is Ramsdale's upcoming fixtures are more difficult than all 3 of these options, which is why I could opt for one of Gaeta, Sanchez and McCarthy, but I really think it will be Ramsdale come Game Week 12. In the defence, so there is the sort of chance that I don't necessarily go with both Reece James and Chilwell and I choose just one of them, which would leave me a defensive starting spot. Now, Manchester City, as I've said, have a great run of fixtures and they are the best defence in the league. So I could go Diaz, but the attacking threat really isn't there. Reguilon, I could go with Spurs. Now, they kept a clean sheet in Game Week 11 and they have a really nice run of fixtures and he is just 5 million. I expect him to get some attacking returns playing in that new Conte system. And the final one we've got is, don't laugh, please don't laugh, is Luke Shaw of Manchester United. He's dropped again to 5.2 million. And with the run of fixtures that Manchester United have, if they continue to play a 5 at the back, or even if they go back to a 4 at the back, I just can't help but not ignore that Manchester United fixture run. He's not in my draft at the moment, but there is part of me just thinking, get Luke Shaw in your team. Those fixtures are great. Fixtures bring form, and for sure that could be a great return in investment. I am considering Wan-Bissaka as well, but at the moment it's Shaw in my team. In the midfield, we've got Rafinha, Gallagher and Moura. Now, Rafinha returned again in Game Week 11. I'm not really sure I don't want to include him in my wildcard. If Jota, for example, isn't a good long-term option, it will probably be Rafinha that comes in. Gallagher in Crystal Palace looked really good. He's had 2 big returns in 2 game weeks, but he's also had a period before that where the returns very quickly dried up. So a bit of undecided about whether I go with Gallagher, and being so many good midfielders, I've just struggled to find a place in my team for him at the moment. And the next one is Lucas Moura. So as I said with Son's not playing as centrally as maybe we thought, and Moura is playing on the other hand side, and he is a great price, cheaper than Son at 6.4 million. Again, if Jota isn't there, or I don't want to go with one of my other midfielders, 6.4 million could be a good price, a cheap price that there's not that much risk to take a punt on Lucas Moura given their upcoming fixtures. And up front, we've got Vardy. Now, he hasn't looked great for the past few games, but they do have a nice run of fixtures after Chelsea in game week 12. Jimenez, again, probably one of the only strikers who scored sort of consistent points, although didn't get anything in game week 11. And finally, Jesus of Manchester City. If he's playing out on that right wing, he's one of the forwards that I probably expect to score some points, but he is more expensive than them all. And with Mahrez, the Christmas schedule, there is rotation for him there. So a lot of these options are ones I'm looking at, but haven't quite found their way into my team at the moment. So in terms of how I would line up for game week 12, it would be a 5-4-1 with James Chilwell, Cancelo, Trent and Livramento in my defence, with Ramsdale behind them. Salah, Jota, Son, Foden with Antonio up front. Now Hwang on the bench. Smith Rowe, as I said, rotating with Livramento, who plays Norwich this week, whereas Smith Rowe is away to Liverpool. And then Keenan Davies last on my bench. So here is my game week 12 wildcard current thoughts. If you have enjoyed the video, please leave in the comments what you think of my current team, and while you are down there, please consider liking the video and of course subscribing to the channel. Thank you all for the support. 13,000 subscribers has just been hit, so I really do appreciate all the ongoing support. Enjoy the international break. There will be slightly less videos, but still a lot to come as I ponder my wildcard and try and help you get the best rank possible you can this season. So if you have enjoyed, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and I will see you all very soon.